change. It's pretty much the only thing in life you can count on, right? But that doesn't make it any easier to deal with. So what if we could flip the script on it? In this explainer, we're going to break down how you can turn the challenge of change into a real, powerful opportunity for growth.
Here's our roadmap. First, we'll get into the science of why change feels so tough. Then, we'll learn the difference between two kinds of change, which is super important. After that, we get practical. We'll talk about how to let go, how to navigate that messy middle part, and finally, how to really, truly embrace a new beginning.
All right, let's start right at the beginning. Why is it that our gut reaction to change is so often to resist it or even to be scared of it? Well, it turns out the answer isn't really in our heads, it's in our biology.
I mean, think about it. You get that new job you were dreaming of, or you move to a city you've always wanted to live in. These are good things. So why can they still feel so incredibly stressful? What is going on there?
It all comes down to this really old survival instinct. Our brains are basically wired to feel safe when things are predictable. So when a big life change comes along and brings all this uncertainty with it, our brain's internal alarm system goes off, flagging it as a possible danger. And bam, that's your stress response kicking into high gear. So to handle change well, we first have to figure out what kind of change we're actually dealing with. And this next idea is absolutely crucial, because how you approach each one is completely different.
Okay, so on one hand, you've got a transition. Think of this as an evolution, a slow shift where you feel this pull to get your life in line with your changing values. It's something you can actively manage. But on the other hand, there's transformation, and that's a revolution. It's a total, fundamental remaking of who you are and what you believe, usually because of some huge life-altering event. You don't manage a transformation, you kind of just have to surrender to it.
This is probably the best way I've heard it put. A transition is like the seasons changing. It feels natural, you kind of expect it. A transformation, though, that's like climate change. It's a deep, profound shift that changes the entire landscape of your life.
So once we know what kind of change we're in, the very first step is the same for both. And honestly, it's usually the one we fight the most, just admitting that something has to end.
This four-part model is a great blueprint for any transition. It starts with this build-up, that feeling that something just isn't right. That leads to letting go, which is what we're talking about now. Then comes that messy middle, which they call the doodle. And finally, the emergence into your new reality.
This is the step that we almost always try to just skip over. We get so focused on the new, exciting thing that we forget to properly say goodbye to what we're leaving behind. But you have to make space, mentally and emotionally, for what's next. And you can't do that until you consciously close the door on what was. And the reason this is so hard is because of something called loss aversion. It's a quirk in our brains where we feel the pain of a loss about twice as strongly as the joy of an equal gain. It's wild, right? And it's why even when we know a change is for the better, that act of letting go can still hurt so much.
Okay, so we've faced the ending, we've let go. Now we're in that confusing, messy middle, the in-between. This is where the real work happens. This is where we have to actively build up our resilience. So let's look at the tools we need for the job.
First off, let's get one thing straight about resilience. It's not about being tough or stuffing your emotions down. Not at all. It's really about being adaptable. It's that mental flexibility to bend without breaking, to bounce back when things get stressful.
So how do we actually build it? Well, there are 4 key things to focus on. First, manage the uncertainty. When everything feels chaotic, just focus on the tiny things you can control. Second, get a handle on your emotions with some useful techniques. Third, take a look at your strengths. What skills do you already have that you can lean on? And finally, and this is a big one, connect with people. You should never, ever try to go through a big change all by yourself.
Adaptability itself is a whole skill set. It's got a few different parts. There's the cognitive part, being able to change how you think. There's the emotional part, bouncing back when you get knocked down. There's the interpersonal part, how you talk to and relate to others. And it also involves creative problem solving and always being open to learning. They all work together to make you more adaptable.
And for that emotional piece, which is so critical, let's open up the toolkit. What's inside? Simple, powerful stuff. Deep breathing, which can calm your nervous system right down. Journaling to get all those swirling thoughts out of your head. A new routine, which can create a feeling of stability when everything else is up in the air. And maybe most important of all, self-compassion. Give yourself a break. It's okay for this to be hard.
And all of this hard work, the letting go, the navigating the mess, it leads us right here to the final phase, the new beginning. But this isn't just about being done with the tough stuff.
This is where you really start to see the growth.
And hey, if you think this is all just feel-good personal stuff, think again. The value of being adaptable is huge, professionally speaking. A 2024 report from LinkedIn actually found that adaptability is the #1 most in-demand skill employers are looking for. So mastering change isn't just good for you, it's a massive career asset.
Here's the key idea to hold on to. The new beginning isn't just a sigh of relief that it's over. It's your chance to take everything you learned in that in-between phase and actually use it. It's an opportunity to build a new life that's more in line with the person you've now become.
So, after all of that, if there is just one thing you take away from this entire explainer, please let it be this. We spent so much time and energy fighting change, just trying to survive it. But what if we could shift that perspective? What if we saw it not as a threat, but as the main way we grow as people? When you do that, it stops being scary and starts becoming an opportunity. It is the process through which we evolve. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Now that you have a better understanding of how change works, and you have some tools to navigate it, what new beginning, big or small, are you ready to create for yourself?